Hello and welcome. It's Friday, April 30th, the day before another UFC event goes down in Las Vegas. I am joined by the hottest MMA capper in the game, Ian the Duck Parker. I myself am Cody Merrow, producer extraordinaire, but nobody's here for me. Ian, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Just trying to keep the streak alive, send out those winning picks, and I'm ready to rock, my man.
Well, absolutely. And without further ado, we will hop right into it. Your odds for UFC Vegas 25 going down tomorrow on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus. Starting on the prelims at featherweight, Luke Sanders minus 145 versus Felipe Colares plus 115. Ian, the floor is yours.
Do or die for Luke Sanders here. He's fighting a guy who is super inconsistent with his wins and losses. Luke should be the better striker, better wrestler. As long as he can stay out of that guillotine, this should be Luke's fight to win.
Moving swiftly through at middleweight, Andreas Michailidis minus 235 versus KB Bilar plus 195. And there is a minus 250 chance that I didn't pronounce that at all correctly. So Ian, first names only, your floor is yours.
I like Andreas here. I think his forward pressure, Bilar is a little too hesitant. He's going to want to counter strike. Not a good idea against a guy who's going to come forward with a barrage of heavy powered strikes. I like Andreas Michailidis here. I'm going to roll with you on that pronunciation, so we're both wrong.
Hey, and that's where you get this chemistry. I mean, I knew you were only going to use the first names. We play off each other so well, Ian. I love it. Coming up next, women's strawweight, Loma Lookboonmee minus 390. Pretty heavy there versus Sam Hughes plus 315. Ian, in the women's division, where do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, so this is probably going to go the distance as it usually does at this part of the division, but I like Loma here. You know, she showed in her last fight that her takedown defense has gotten really strong. She's going to be one of the better strikers with her tie background, and Sam Hughes is just a little too inexperienced. The striking doesn't throw enough volume, and if she can't get that takedown, she's going to be in for a lot of trouble. So I like Loma here, and I would throw her in a parlay.
Hey, and keep a lookout for those plus 2.5 props there. In the women's division, we know they're always pretty heavy favorited, but you parlay a couple of those on a card, you're looking at plus money. Coming up next at featherweight, Kai Kamaka III, minus 145 versus TJ Brown at plus 115. Ian, you're the expert. Give me some advice.
Yeah, this is a really tough fight. We saw Kai Kamaka kind of exposed in his last fight, and we saw TJ Brown. We see what happens when he does wrestle. When he uses his striking to wrestle, he's very dangerous. When he just goes to strike, he takes away all of his advantages. I think he goes back to his roots here, and I think he wrestles Kai Kamaka. As we saw, if you put Kamaka on his back, you take away his power, and his submission defense is not all that great. So I'm going to take the dog here. I'm going to go with TJ Brown.
Well, and we're going to close the book on that one, but we're going to open up the Jungle Book coming up next at featherweight. Gabriel Mowgli Benitez minus 200 versus Jonathan Pierce plus 160. Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, I like Benitez here. I like what he did in his last fight. He's finally putting it together with his striking and his body kicks. Not many people kick harder than him at this weight class, and I think he's starting to really find his style. As long as he sticks to his strategy, he should get the win here.
Safe to say he's got the better bare necessities in this fight. Moving on through in women's strawweight, Randa Marcos plus 135 versus Luana Pinheiro minus 165. Another one there, Ian, where maybe the 2.5 will have a little bit of your wagering, but I'll let you take it away.
This one I would be careful. Randa Marcos has gotten finished a couple of times, and also Luana Pinheiro has finished 7 of her 8 wins, and she's only 8-1. As we saw in the Contender Series, she started off a little slow and knocked out her opponent. She also has a few submission wins under her belt. Randa Marcos is she's also got 4 losses in a row. So I'm assuming this is a win or go home situation for her. The problem with Randa is that her striking is too hesitant, too predictable. Wrestling where she used to be at her strongest. Also, her entries are way too predictable. Luana's got good takedown defense, will be the faster striker. I don't love that this is her first fight truly in the UFC, but the odds are not bad. And I think she just is too athletic for Randa and gets it done. So I do like Pinheiro here at minus 170.
And listen, Ian, if people have been paying attention to your breakdowns, it's not just this is how the fight goes. It's to the letter. It's to the T. Ian's out here crossing T's, dotting I's on where people get finished, what rounds. You need to pay attention to Ian's premium picks. You know where to get those? You have to go to Coach Picks. We're giving leans on every fight here, but as always, this is information. You take this information, you combine it with other information that you get, and you end up making the best gambling plays here. If you want Ian's straight to the pay window advice, you got to go to Coach Picks. And as we move on into the main card, at women's flyweight, Poliana Botelho minus 260 versus Luana Carolina plus 200. I think I nailed that one for Monday, Ian. Where do you think I am?
You did. That was a good one. I like Botelho here also. I think she's really shown a nice improvement in her game. I think she just has, she's got the overall improvement here. So I like her to win this one. The odds are a little heavy. So if you want to parlay her with Loma, I would stay away from the over-under because she's starting to get a little sneaky with her submission game. But, again, play it safe. Take her with Loma in a parlay.
Oh, and that we had to spend some extra time on this one, Ian. At bantamweight, Merab Dvalishvili, minus 255 versus Cody Stamann, plus 200. I'm not the expert here, but that number seems a little wide to me. Ian, what do you think about these odds?
It is a little high. I think they're basing it off of Merab's win streak and Cody Stamann losing to a Jimmy Rivera. Here's my thing. If you want to talk about over 2.5, there's a reason why it's in the minus 300 range, which I would throw that in a parlay as well. Merab is not really known for his finishes. He's known for his takedowns. He's known for his pressure. And Cody Stamann's also, I think, only been finished once in his career by Aljamain Sterling. So for this fight, I do like Merab. I would throw him in a parlay. I also like the over here. Merab will pressure as long as he doesn't get into a brawl, because Cody Stamann might actually be the better striker. Wrestling, cardio, Merab's favor. I like Merab.
Well, and great job of taking bias out of that. As you know, we're all kind of good friends with Ray Longo, so it'll be nice to see him in the corner there, hopefully with a proper size shirt this weekend. Coming up next at middleweight, Sean Strickland, you better not come for a submission at minus 275 versus Krzysztof Jodko plus 215. Ian, he had a lot to say about being anti-submission in the press conference leading up to this fight, but how do you see this fight playing out with Strickland versus Jodko?
We saw Jodko in his last fight implement that pressure, use the jab, come forward, threaten the takedowns. The problem is Sean Strickland's going to be the better wrestler here. And we saw Strickland in his last 2 fights, especially against Brendan Allen. He's starting to really come into his own. We're really starting to see the Sean Strickland we all thought we were going to a few years back before his injuries. He's healthy. He's confident at striking, and he's possessing this power we didn't even know he had. So for Jodko, if he cannot put Strickland on his back, which I don't think he will, I fully expect Strickland to get the win here. And I like Sean big time.
And coming up next, someone who always ensures there are fireworks in the octagon, even before the fight starts. At light heavyweight, we got Ion Cutelaba, the Euro Hulk, minus 140 versus Dustin Jacoby, plus 110. Ian, I might be the most excited for this fight on this ESPN card. Where do you see this fight playing out?
There's no secret. Ion Cutelaba is going to come out the gate like a bat out of hell. He's going to be throwing punches. He's going to just try to make this into a brawl and try to light the place on fire, as you say. I just think that Dustin Jacoby, he's a better athlete. He's going to have better cardio, and he's going to be the better technical striker. I'm actually kind of surprised he's at plus money here. So I like Jacoby as the underdog. When you get Ion Cutelaba in a fight, he either finishes you or gets finished. So I think this fight goes under, but I really like Jacoby here in the underdog spot.
And in the co-main event, we're going to keep with the featherweight division. Cub Swanson plus 140, formerly Killer Cub, now Cuddly Cub with 3 kids, I believe, versus Giga Chikadze minus 170 representing Georgia throughout this card. Ian, I love this fight at featherweight. There is sure to be some serious fireworks going on here. Where do you see this fight playing out?
If Cub wants to win this fight, he has to be Killer Cub. He can't be Cuddly Cub. Giga Chikadze is a different type of striker we haven't seen in a really long time. His combinations, his speed, his precision it's kind of second to none right now. I don't think we've seen a guy like this do what he's been doing, and he's showing that he's got a ground game. He's gone 3 rounds, so he's showing that cardio, and Cub's going to come to fight. Cub's got a lot of good tools here. He's on a nice little win streak. I think it ends here with Chikadze. I think Chikadze just can't be too cocky here because Cub can finish a fight with 1 punch. I do think Giga puts it together really well, and I like Chikadze to win at whatever the odds are.
Well, and I absolutely love that breakdown, Ian. I can't wait to see that fight. But the light heavyweight champion can't wait to see this next fight. He is, of course, booked against Glover Teixeira coming up later in the summer. But this one, I think is safe to say, is a number 1 contender bout. Dominick Reyes plus 100 versus Jiri Prochazka minus 130. Ian, that kind of looks like a pick 'em to me. Maybe it'll finish a little closer there with the odds makers tomorrow, but the floor is yours, my friend. How do you see this main event going tomorrow night on ESPN?
See, I know everyone's very excited about Prochazka here. My issue with going his way is we've seen him in 1 fight in the last year and a half in his UFC debut against Volkan Ozdemir, where that first round he was not winning. I think Ozdemir kind of gassed out with the wrestling, and Yuri took over with his striking. Dominick Reyes has been in this main event spot quite a few times, as we've seen. With the John Jones fight, people thought he won that fight. Then he got slept by Jan Blachowicz. I think in this fight, Dominick Reyes needs to keep the distance. He cannot get into a brawl. He has to use that athleticism. He has to really play into that cardio and take this fight into deep waters. He's got to use that wrestling game. We've seen him get submissions before as well. I like Dominick Reyes here as the underdog. I think just the experience in the cage alone should help him here. I think he learned his lesson against Jan Blachowicz when trying to match power with power. You just don't need to do it because you know what Yuri's going to do. He's going to swing for the fence. He's going to try to knock you out. So on top of Dominick Reyes, I do think this fight goes over 1.5 rounds. I think that first round is going to be a big feeling out process in which Dominick's going to kind of bounce around while Yuri comes forward. I like Dominick Reyes and over 1.5.
And what an analysis by the Duck himself, the best MMA capper in all of the land. I'm, of course, a little biased. Hey, I'm either a quack or I'm taking tickets straight to the pay window with my man Ian Parker. That's it. No recap. We give it all to you in 10 minutes or less. We are the fastest growing combat sports betting show in the land. I am Cody Merrow for my friend Ian Parker. This is Combat Coach, and we're out.